So, have you ever wondered what happens if you were to call the police on your partner, your significant other, or your spouse? If you are in a relationship, arguments are bound to happen. It is a part of the territory. But at the end of the day, if you encounter an argument that spirals out of control and you call the police, there are three things to keep in mind that will almost always be guaranteed to happen if you call the police. And so I am criminal defense attorney Hannah Akintoye, and I see these situations happen all the time. Often, it usually starts with a text message that may come through on your partner's phone that you don't approve of. Or maybe your partner or your significant other was out and about and they came home late, or they said something to you that was really rude and offensive, and that hurt your feelings. And now there's an argument that has started and it has completely gone out of hand. What do? You call the police, and everything that happens after that is out of your control. So those three things that are guaranteed to happen are as follows. Number one, if you call the police, there will be a public record of what ended up happening. So if there was an incident where the police were called to your residence, you never know who may be able to access that public record or that police report that is associated with the incident that occurred. So before you call the police, think about whether this is something that you're okay with being recorded. Because as far as I know, there is no expungement process for getting rid of police reports once they're called to the scene of a domestic violence incident. Number two, if you call the police, somebody may very well be arrested. And it doesn't necessarily matter who called the police. Granted, whoever called the police may be the first person to talk to the police, but the police are trained to look for evidence of a crime, right? To look for evidence of a scuffle, to look for evidence of bruises and things of that nature. So although there may have been a scuffle, if there are no bruises on you and you call the police, but there are bruises on the other person, it is very likely that you could be the one who ends up going to jail. And so what they typically look for is anything that shows that a crime has been committed, whether somebody was assaulted, whether there is some destruction of property, anything. And if all fingers point to you for that particular incident, you can be arrested. And honestly, sometimes there are situations where both people get arrested and all you wanted to do is just kind of get the police there to just kind of calm down the situation. And now the both of you are in jail overnight with a record. So number three, if you call the police in a domestic violence incident, in most states, it is going to be very difficult to get a domestic violence conviction off of your record. So for instance, if you are in Washington, D.C., and you're convicted of a domestic violence simple assault charge, you can never expunge or seal that record. Or let's say you were arrested for a domestic violence simple assault, and now your partner has decided that they don't want to press charges anymore. Well, a lot of the times what could happen is you may have to wait a longer period of time before you can even qualify to expunge that particular charge, simply because it's a domestic violence incident. So domestic violence cases is something that almost every state takes so seriously that oftentimes they make it very difficult for you to get that charge off of your record. And in a lot of places, they don't even allow you to decide whether or not you want to press charges. So before you involve the police, think about the alternatives that are available to you. There's therapy, there's counseling, and there are also protection orders. Let's say your safety is an issue. You can file a protection order, or some states they call it restraining orders or peace orders. You can file a protection order without having to deal with it being a criminal case or worry about your partner having a record. Now, of course, if you violate a protection order, that's separate. Then that is when a criminal charge could occur. So those are a couple alternatives to think about if you're not sure about whether or not you want to call the police, but ultimately your safety is a priority. If you have to call 911, just know what is likely to happen once the police do arrive. If you think that there's anybody that needs this information, just feel free to share it with them. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have either here or on my website, mydclaw.com, if you would like to reach out to me. I hope you guys stay safe, and I will talk to you soon.